My next guest is calling out toxic habits that he says are pulling people apart. He's also sharing solutions for the social habits that need fixing and fast. Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend is here. Hello, my friend. In the house. The doctor's in the house.
Yeah.
You say you've seen a shift that is really concerning to you.
It's people are stressed. And you know what I think it is? I used to think it was like politics or, you know, just the temperature. It was cold. I don't know.
The climate, something.
The climate, something was going on. But now I've figured it out.
What is it?
We're stressing each other out. We have some bad habits socially as people, as your, I don't know how you say it, as a country. We have a lot of stuff, and it's now eking out more and more on social media, but really, it's in all parts of our lives, and we got to stop it.
Do you tie this to technology, though, as you look at the evolution of it?
I actually see it might be, yeah. There's little hints of technology in here that maybe make us think that we can say more things than maybe we should, and there's a little bit more selfishness going on in the world, but I think some of it is just spreading faster through technology. But I really want to see if we can't, as just humans, start controlling some of the things we're doing. We stop some of the toxicity, and then maybe it won't spread to everyone else and stress everyone else.
You mentioned selfishness, and that's at the center of this first toxic behavior that you're calling the me over we.
We are obsessed with me. Me, 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 me. In fact, we have a time in our lives when we don't believe in institutions. We don't believe in our government half the time. We don't believe in churches. We don't believe in education and educational institutions. We don't believe in companies. We don't believe in anything anymore, but we do believe in us because we're amazing and we're incredible. And my fear of that is that we are becoming so individualized that what's going to happen when we actually need to go to each other, when we actually need our institutions to help lift us up and lift us out of a hole, we're not going to trust them. We're not going to know how to access them. We haven't been to these institutions for a long time. So it's very much into what we think we need out of this world instead of actually playing in some of the groups. Each one of those institutions also kept us connected as a group, as a people. And once those institutions go away, then we're just a bunch of individuals.
How do you know if you're a little too self-focused?
Part of it is, I guess, is everything always coming back to your feeling about it. I mean, there's so many people that I talk to that it's about how they feel about things. And it used to be that it was kind of about what needed to be done. It was kind of about what the world needed, what others needed, what the community needed. And we used to kind of choose to do that first, then we could worry about how we feel.
Can I tell you how I've seen this as you describe it play out? And I want to be really careful with my words. I don't want to, you know, point fingers at anyone in particular, but when national tragedies or disasters happen, I find on social media the tone immediately flips to one of, I'm holding my kids tighter. Or I'm treasuring my relationships, when really what just happened has nothing to do with you. And I get we want to connect as a human nature and society, but it so quickly turns to people projecting that on themselves.
And by the way, and then back to their children. And so now mom has to hold you tighter because this event is a scary, fearful thing. Then we start putting our own agenda in on it. So how we fix the national problems is through our own agenda, through our feelings, through my intentions, instead of just actually reaching out to the others that went through it. Let them have their moment. Don't make it about you. Everything does not have to come back to you.
So let's flip it. We over me. You say we are too easily offended.
Holy Hannah, we are way offended. And the funny thing about that is to be that offended, it kind of goes back to the selfish thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that just aren't thinking about you. And so don't be offended if I cut in front of you. It's not an offense. I wasn't even thinking.
It wasn't even about you.
It's not even about you. So going back to you, if you're easily offended, there are ways around that. Like, just start thinking, why would I cut in front of someone else? Just take one more step before you get all offended and reactive. Just think about why you would do it. And it's probably, you'd say, well, it was an accident, because I would never do that intentionally.
Well,
then shut your caker and just assume the other person does that.
Our favorite Matt Townsend line. You need to trademark that.
I'm going to get a hat. Shut your caker.
But really, again, I see this reflected a lot of times in like articles and content that's out there. 10 things you shouldn't say to X, Y, or Z. 10 things you should never, you know.
That's right. Everybody has a pet peeve. And everybody has this thing that, ooh, you crossed that line, then I know exactly where you are. And so we have all these rules. Instead of forgiveness and love and acceptance and charity, we just have rules, thousands of them. And the reality is no one's going to be able to ever navigate all of these rules for everybody.
So the antidote then are those values: forgiveness,
service, love, character, charity, give, forgive, let things go, assume the best. in others, take the place of other. Imagine what it's like to be another person in your world.
Are you sick of people's opinions, Dr.
Yes,
Matt?
oh my gosh. Everybody has an opinion. Have you noticed? Yes. Everybody has one. And
yes, I
have a radio show, and I have to give opinion, and half the time, I don't even have an opinion. But I'm like, I ought to make up an opinion for this one, because I don't know. But the funny thing about our opinions, a lot of us haven't ever researched something, but we still have a really strong opinion. Be careful of having a strong opinion when you know very little really about the subject. If you haven't researched the subject, if you haven't read more than one book on the subject, if you've only heard about it on cable news, you don't really know much about the issue. Research it, think about it, get into it, study it, experience it, go serve around it, then I'll let you have an opinion.
Think of how much more engaging our conversations could be if people were open to other people who really do have knowledge on that issue.
The minute you have an opinion, I'm shutting down everyone else's opinion. So don't argue an opinion, because what we're trying to do, again, is set up walls. We need walls, and these walls are to protect us, because we think opinions are scary and dangerous. But the minute I start building these opinionated walls, all I'm doing is keeping people away from me. And in the end, it's when these walls all come tumbling down, we're all going to be very lonely. And it stresses the rest of us out, right?
So wise, so wise. You say another toxic habit that you'd like to see turned around is people who blame other people for their own unhappiness.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if everybody just accepted their own crud? Everybody just pick up your own junk. Everybody, you just deal with your own problem. Just deal with your own misery. Now, I'm not trying to be rude, but it is your misery, and if it's your misery and you keep blaming me for it, there's a problem with it, because it means I actually can't ever fix it for you, and you're never going to learn the lesson from your misery. As soon as I quit blaming everyone for my misery, I can now start to learn what I need to learn. And then the misery becomes my teacher, and then I will no longer have to suffer the misery. If you keep experiencing the same misery over and over and over, I always ask my clients, how does this serve you? It must serve you to keep telling this story. It must serve you to keep being someone else's victim. It must serve you somehow, or you wouldn't keep using the story.
And how does it serve people?
Usually it serves them from having to deal with it. Change it, confront their fear. They have a fear behind why they don't want to move on from whatever this happened.
Interesting.
And instead, there's so much power when you no longer make it about anyone else, and you just start doing what you can with it and start sharing your fear of moving forward. Then once you do that, you're free of it, and then you can progress. And by the way, I can progress, and I can help you progress, and we create a different spirit.
You need to write a book about this.
I really ought to write a book about this.
I mean, I know you have nothing else going on.
It's so true.
But until you write that book, we'll just continue to celebrate your workshops. Thank you. That was great. That was really great. You do have a workshop coming up where you're helping couples communicate and connect.
This is it. This is the big communication. All these couples come to me, tell me, we need help, we need help. So we put together Real Communication. Real Results is the name of the workshop. Just go to matttownsend.com. You can get the date. It's March 14th. Is that right? Hold on. That was late. Oh, no. It's coming up. I don't know the date exactly.
Cue the date.
Cue the date. March 24th. I knew I had a 4 in it. Saturday, March 24th. It's a longer class, but it's you and your partner will come, you'll sit down, and we will teach you in the day how to talk. And by the end of it, you'll have a process to deal with more difficult conversations and start practicing.
How cool that you're allotting the time, though, on what day again?
Saturday, the 24th.
Yeah. How cool you're allotting the time to go deep, though.
Yeah, you want to.
Really engage.
And then once you kind of learn some very basic skills, you'll see that communication is not a scary thing. It's actually bonding.
You're doing so much good, my friend. Thank you for helping us out.